Sony has just announced its financial results for the 3 months that ended on March 31st, 2019, and there's a lot to look at when it comes to the PlayStation brand, and unsurprisingly, the PlayStation 4 is doing incredibly well. However, it might be doing even better than you guys had expected, and there's a lot more information to digest. We'll look at how PlayStation Now is doing, and we'll look at the fact that the PlayStation 5 is still probably a ways away, and that was noted as well. A lot to digest here, so I want to cover all of that. Specifically, it was announced that in the 3-month period that ended on March 31st, 2019, a total of 2.6 million PlayStation 4s were shipped during the third quarter, which is up just slightly at 0.1 million from the same period in the previous fiscal year. Sony shipped a total of 17.8 million PlayStation 4s in fiscal year 2018, which is down 1.2 million from the 19 million shipped in fiscal year 2017, but 0.3 million more units than Sony's forecast, which had them at 17.5 million units. Sony's forecast is that it will sell 16 million PlayStation 4s in fiscal year 2019, which runs from April 1st, 2019 to March 31st, 2020. Now, some of those numbers, you might look at them and be like, hey, that's a little bit disappointing. They're actually selling less and less PlayStation 4s. Well, that's naturally to happen as a console generation goes on, especially towards this latter portion of the PlayStation 4's life cycle, where the people that have wanted a PlayStation 4, they already own a PlayStation 4, and now you're just selling more and more units. You might be selling double units to people, whatever the case may be, but the fact that there hasn't been this significant drop-off, that's actually rather incredible. And here's the even more incredible statistic. This was pointed out by Daniel Ahmad, but the fact that the PlayStation 4 is now at 96.8 million units, it is getting oh so close to that elusive 100 million unit mark, and if you're breaking 100 million units, that is really the threshold you need to break to be identified as an absolutely successful console. A lot of consoles usually don't hit that, but the PlayStation 4 is now on track to reach 100 million units faster than the Nintendo Wii and in line with the PlayStation 2. And the PlayStation 2 is seen as the most successful console of all time. So the PlayStation 4 to be in line with that, that is remarkable. And I offer you this, the PlayStation 2 also had the incentive of being a DVD player. So outside of just being a gaming console, the PlayStation 2 was also a DVD player. You could make the argument that yes, the PlayStation 4 has Blu-ray and it is an entertainment box. However, nowadays you can get an entertainment box a lot cheaper than the PlayStation 4. In the PlayStation 2 days, you could buy a DVD player standalone, but it was a lot more incentivizing on just getting the PlayStation 2 right out the gate. You get a DVD player and you get a gaming console, so naturally the PlayStation 2 was a more enticing option and a more enticing purchase than to those that weren't even that big of gamers. Now, does this mean that the PlayStation 4 will sell as many units as the PlayStation 2? Probably not, because the PlayStation 2 just had an insane amount of longevity. The PlayStation 2 was released in the year 2000, and it was persisting until like 2009, 2010. I believe they dropped the price of the PS2 to like $100 in early 2009, and that jolted up sales of the PlayStation 2 9 years after the console was originally released, which is absolutely insane. I doubt the PlayStation 4 is going to persist for that long. 2019 will mark the PlayStation 4's 6th year on the market and released in fall of 2013, and hey, being on the market and being a compelling product to buy for 6 years is already remarkable, but is it going to hit your 7, 8, and 9 and have the same kind of impact that it had years 1 through 6? I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. I do imagine it'll taper off at some point, especially with the impending release of the PlayStation 5 probably sometime late 2020. I imagine sales of the PlayStation 4 will really taper off at that point, but the fact is, right now, it having topped worldwide shipments at 96.8 million units, that is incredibly remarkable, especially because if you factor in that so many people were talking about heading into this generation, that this would be the last generation of consoles. Console gaming was on the way out, gaming was shifting over to mobile, gaming was shifting over to PC, and a lot of people were writing off the PlayStation 4 before it even got off the ground, but now you see the incredible amount of success. I know that the PlayStation 3 got off to a rocky start, but Sony had learned so much from that, and that really parlayed into the release of the PlayStation 4. And yes, they've had their bumps and bruises along the way, but it's been a lot smoother than the PlayStation 3. And the PlayStation 4 has just naturally been a far more compelling platform, and now that you have that infrastructure in place, going into the release of the PlayStation 5, you know what works. Sony has their fundamental first party in base, and they're going to continue to release compelling first party product, and that's what's going to push the PlayStation 5, and now they know that. Now the goal with that console is to create a compelling box at a reasonable price, or offer it in multiple variations that I've been touting. I would love to see a higher end console, and I think a lot of you guys are actually coming around with that notion, but I don't want to get into that speculation again. Just know that PlayStation 4 is doing incredibly well. They're about to reach a major milestone at 100 million units, and again, when you break that threshold, that's really kind of a badge to symbolize that that console was an incredible success. And I think the PlayStation 4 years from now, let's say a decade, 2 decades from now, we're gonna look back back on the PlayStation 4 as an incredibly successful platform. A couple of other statistics were noted that PlayStation Plus subscribers topped 36.4 million as of March 31st, 2019, which is actually up 2.2 million from the previous fiscal year. Just think about going up 2.2 million subscribers to a service that a lot of people unfortunately are going month to month paying for. Sony is making an obscene amount of money. I am not a fan of paying to play online. However, given that they have 36.4 million active subscribers, think about the ridiculous amount of revenue that Sony is generating with PlayStation Plus. It is here to stay, and that's going to disappoint some people, but nonetheless, that's another revenue stream for Sony that they really wanted to get in place heading into this generation. I know last generation it was free online, but guess what? The PlayStation 4's online service is so much more compelling than the PlayStation 3's that at least we're making some incremental gains as far as that's concerned. The PlayStation 4 software sold 54.7 million units in the fourth quarter, which is up 2.7 million from the previous fiscal year. 45% of those sales were full game software digital downloads compared to 43% the previous year, so slight gains on digital downloads, but you do see an overall gain in terms of 2.7 million being up from the previous fiscal year. So that digital gain I don't think is necessarily a cause for saying digital gaming is on the supreme rise, although it is. However, it more so is pointing that gaming in general, that gamers are buying more games, and that's pretty cool to see. It is also noted that PlayStation Now is making some massive gains. It has reached 700,000 monthly subscribers with 40% average yearly increase of paying subscribers, which 700,000 subscribers comparatively speaking to the 36.4 million PlayStation Plus subscribers. Yes, that's not as impressive, but PS Now is gaining some steam, now offering PlayStation 4 game downloads. I think the real barrier to entry with PS Now is the fact that the price point is just not that attractive. $20 a month is quite steep. I know it's giving you access to what, north of 600 or 700 games. You can stream games, you can download the PS4 games. However, comparatively speaking to Game Pass, which also offers you all of the first-party Xbox titles, insert the jokes, haha, Xbox has no first-party games, but nonetheless, I think Forza Horizon 4 is pretty good. But you guys get the idea. $10 a month for that service, and that service, I would say, probably has the better games lineup. I mean, they just added Monster Hunter World. PlayStation Now has some compelling games, but usually it's older games. I believe Bloodborne is on there. And the real quality comes from the PlayStation 3 library. However, of course, those games aren't downloadable directly to your PlayStation 4. Hopefully, that's remedied with the PlayStation 5, because I think the floodgates are really going to be open to PlayStation Now being an incredible service. If we can download the PS3 games, if you're adding more PS2 games, man, I think it could be a great service, because the bulk of the quality in my eyes with PS Now is really in that PS3 library. You're looking at games like Red Dead Redemption, some of the older exclusives like Infamous. There are some tremendous games there, and I think that's how PlayStation Now can really reach that next level. But nonetheless, it's continuing to make some gains with 700,000 subscribers. Hopefully the price gets adjusted a little bit. I see deals here and there, however, they're available sparsely. I saw a one-year subscription available for $60 at one point, but it was only available for a couple of hours on Amazon. If we could get a deal like that regularly, I would be singing the praise of PlayStation Now even more, and while I think it's a pretty good service at this point, I think there are improvements to be made. And I think $20 a month is still just a little bit too steep. If we're talking about adding those PlayStation first-party titles to PS Now and we're paying $20 a month, alright, you got my attention there. But that's not the case right now. Also, lastly, it was noted that the PlayStation 5 will not be released in the next 12 months, and that's ruling out a release in early 2020, which I think was pretty much a foregone conclusion, releasing a PlayStation console early on in the year. I don't think that's actually ever been done. I might be wrong about that. The PlayStation 2 might have been released in March of 2000. Honestly, all these release windows are a little bit foggy to me, but I think in the case of the PS2, it came out in the fall in Japan and then it released early 2000 stateside or something like that. That was so long ago, but I think most of us were just expecting that the PlayStation 5 would be released in fall of 2020. We've still got games coming out in 2019. We've got games scheduled for 2020, and I think the real question is, what of those games? Are they going to make the transition to the PlayStation 5? Ghost of Tsushima could probably easily be a PS5 game, as could Death Stranding, as could the Final Fantasy VII Remake. So a lot of questions as far as that's concerned, but expect the next-gen PlayStation sometime later in 2020. At least that's what I would think. Hey, maybe it won't even be released in fall of 2020. Maybe that window is being overstated by some of us. We'll keep you guys posted, but don't expect it in the next 12 months. So that's going to conclude this video. A lot of positive news for the PlayStation brand. PlayStation 4 continues to kill it with worldwide shipments topping 96.8 million units. It is soon reaching that 100 million threshold, which is a pretty remarkable threshold to pass, especially within, what, a 6-year window? That's pretty incredible. PlayStation Now is continuing to grow, and don't expect PlayStation 5 within the next 12 months. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.